Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Black Chair, the series where we interview professionals to share their insights on what they do. And today we're going to talk about green building. We have the pleasure of Mr. Lim Vincent together with us today. Mr. Lim, welcome to The Black Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lim, can you introduce yourself and let the audience know who you are, what you do?
My name is Vincent. I'm a green building facilitator. So what does a green building facilitator do? Basically, we teach people, developer, architects and engineers how to make a building green.
So, can you explain what exactly constitutes a green building?
Green building is actually a solution. So depending on what problems you have, you get different solutions. Such as building, normally we will have a high energy usage.
Right.
So the solution would be to make it more energy efficient. So this is one of the green features to make the building green.
I see.
So other than that, we still have heat transmission, water, landscaping, and materials.
So it's all point towards environmental friendly, correct?
Correct. And also human health to improve the occupant health inside the building.
Is there any organization or body that regulates this green building?
Yes, we have, but it's all based on a voluntary base. One of the most famous one, we call it the World Green Building Council. So it's a group of NGO that recognize members from each different countries. So in Malaysia, we have one members, we call it Malaysia GBC or Malaysia Green Building Council. In Singapore, they call it Singapore Green Building Council. So each country, they will only recognize one member, and this NGO member, they will then endorse certain tools to be used for that particular country. So in Malaysia, we have this Green Building Index.
So this index, does it mean that there's a different criteria or levels as to how green your buildings are?
Yes, there is. So Green Building Index is a 100 points scoring system. If you get 50 points and above, you are qualified as a certified green building. Right? We usually call this as a best practice building. For 66 points and above, you get silver. 76 and above, you get gold. 86 and above, it will be a platinum building. So when you get a platinum rating, it's almost like an international standard.
Okay. Could you give us some examples of green buildings in Malaysia?
Based on the data we have in GBI, there's about 1,000 registered projects so far. In JB itself, we have the recent MBJB Tower, the new office, the one that looked very squarey, the Astaka Tower, the residential tower that is the tallest. So these are some of the green buildings that we have.
Okay, so those are from scratch, those buildings that you have built. But is it possible, and what is the cost of making an existing building, which is probably not green, into green certification?
We will need to depend on the base, right? Just now I mentioned green building is a solution. We take an example on health.
Yeah.
All right. So a green building is a healthy building. So if we compare it like this, how do you make a healthy person to be healthier, or a person who has a not so good health to a better person? So the cost is different.
Right. Yeah. So there are different ways to actually achieve it. Correct. But it's possible.
It's possible. So if your base building is not too bad, then you will need to spend less money on it. For example, this person is okay, you just need to take vitamin C. But if this person is having a lot of problems, they might need to take omega oil, vitamin B. So that's when you spend more money on it.
What do you think green building is? Is it a necessity or is it a luxury?
It's a necessity. Right. If you look back into olden days, all the buildings is green building. You look at pre-war houses, your kampong houses on steel. They do not require aircon. They open their windows, natural ventilation. So that is a green building. They don't find much problem there. Whereas the houses that we live in today, in a high-rise condominium, you will find it very hot because the window is so big. Without aircon, you cannot survive. So it is very tough. So that's why green building actually help to solve all these kind of problems.
1,000 green buildings in Malaysia may sound not too many and not too little, but what, in your opinion, do you think are the setbacks, or why is it a challenge that you see a lack of demand or actually awareness of green building?
I would say the exposure on green building is less. A lot of people is talking about green now.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
I believe out of 10 people that you talk to, 9 of them know what is green. In general, they will say, oh, we try to use a recycle bag, try to recycle waste and things like that. But when it comes to green building, a lot of people they do not understand, right? For example, especially housing, sometimes people buy a green building, but when they go inside, it's just an ordinary house. They do not see what is the green features. Like I mentioned, green building, we talk about various aspects such as passive design. So whether how big is your window or what type of glass you use. So those are the things that you feel rather than you see. Certain building you go in, you might feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But they do not know that that is a green building.
So it can be comfortable and yet environmental friendly.
Correct. Yeah.
Great. So the awareness is the biggest problem.
The awareness, and a lot of people is misled by the rest of the people.
You have mentioned certification. So this certification, does it last the lifetime of this building itself, or there's a certain expiry date, or is it possible to actually lose this status of being a green building?
Of course. So green building certification only lasts for 3 years. After 3 years, you will need to renew your certification to make sure that everything is still in place.
The guys will actually come and see is it green, or you have to actually apply and say
only if you want to apply it.
status.
So it's basically like your driving license. It will expire, and if you don't renew it, you can't drive anymore in general.
Okay, just one final question. So how do you see the future of green building? Whether is it the awareness is there? How is it going to be?
The awareness, I think, is still not there yet. There's still a lot of room for improvement. But I think the future, green building should not be like something special, every building should be green building. The only reason we are talking about green building now is because people forget about the main design idea, the design intent. For example, when we design architecture, the window is to allow for natural ventilation and daylighting. As time passes and environment change, people start to design the window for aesthetic purposes.
And
they forgo about the heat and things like that. There was once I talked to this developer, so I was trying to tell them that green building is not expensive. So they say, no, in green building, we always talk about glass. Glass is expensive.
Yeah.
You need to use a very good glass to reduce heat. So I told them, actually what we want is you to have an optimum window size, not the full height one. So if you follow what we recommend, you're actually saving money. But to them, they are saying that if my window is not big enough, I couldn't sell it because the purchaser actually now wants a bigger window. I told them, as a developer, you should educate your purchaser, not just give them what they want. If you look at the automotive industry, when we talk about luxury cars, we will think of BMW, Mercedes. Then after that, Mazda came in with their CX-5.
Yep.
So they have those kind of features, but at a lower range price. Right. So then it flooded the market with CX-5, followed by Honda HR-V, even cheaper, and then X50. The recent X50. With an affordable price, they have all these luxury features. So having a green building doesn't mean that it's an additional. It could also mean cheaper if you apply it correctly. As long as the purchaser awareness is there, they request for the right thing, and the price will go down.
Thank you so much, Vincent, for sharing. I think this is really important because with Vincent just sharing, it just creates more awareness to the audience so that we'll sustain green building. So that is all for our episode of green building for this episode. But please stay tuned because we are following along the lines of green building. We next have a special person to also share about green building. So see you.